Hello and welcome to Criminology Preview. I'm Karen, I've been here for 8 years. I also teach psychology. We've been teaching criminology for the last year, and that was quite a new course. So it's something that the students seem to be enjoying. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Gemma Lavelle. I also teach on sociology.
So just a little bit about criminology. It's something that students are really attracted to and finding quite interesting at the moment. It's basically the study of why crime happens in society, and that is one of the things you learn about that criminality is actually a societal structure, because it changes over time, it changes depending on where you're from, and we look at all these different factors during Unit 2. I teach the Unit 2 at the moment, where we look at the psychological side of it more, with obviously me being a psychology teacher as well, and in that we look at the biological theories of crime, the psychological theories of crime, as well as the sociological theories of crime. So biological, for instance, that's one of the oldest types of theories that are out there. It goes back to where people would be classed as criminal just for how they look, for the facial features. So we look at theories like that. Then we look at more modern day theories like social learning theory. Is it learnt? Do we learn through imitation and observation rather than born that way? Because there's lots of implications to this. And how we would deal with crime in future and how it should be punishable. On the other side of things, we look at the difference between crime and deviance, because what is deviant in one country is criminal in another. So that's one of the, for instance, I think one of the things we look at. One of the things we look at, for instance, is sexuality, because that's something that's changed massively over time, and they understand how that's no longer criminal in the UK, and it's actually an accepted norm. Where, so if we go to certain companies like Nigeria and stuff like that, it could be actually classed as a criminal offence rather than a deviant offence and so forth. So it's a really complex subject, because crime itself is very complex and policies are forever changing. So that's what Unit 2 is majority about, is, what is the difference between crime and deviance? How does it change over time? How does it change between cultures? And also like how it affects social policy as well as the theories. So it's something that the students have really enjoyed this year, and I'm sure that you will yourselves. I'll pass to Gemma now for Unit 1.
Okay, so I'm going to talk you through Unit 1, which is called Campaigns for Change. Now, Unit 1 is giving us a little bit of background of crime. So what we do is we look at all of the different types of crime. So we look at crimes such as white-collar crime and corporate crime. So that's crimes committed by your big corporations, your big transnational companies that operate worldwide. So you're thinking about things like tax evasion there. We look at crimes committed by the state, so crimes committed by the government. So going back to things like Nazi Germany and Hitler. We look at cybercrime, we look at what's called moral crime, so that's crimes that are meant to go against our morals. So crimes such as prostitution, assisted suicide, drug dealing, and vagrancy, which means homelessness. Once we've done that, we look at underreported crimes. So we look at crimes that we call them the dark figure of crime. So that means they're hidden crimes, crimes that don't get reported to the police for whatever reason, or crimes that the police choose not to record into their system. So a lot of the crimes we will focus on are very much hidden in society. Now we will look at domestic abuse. It's something that is coming out more in the media every single day, and there's a lot of celebrity coverage with domestic abuse. But we will look at things like male domestic abuse and why men are less likely to report it to the police. We'll also look at hidden crimes such as honour crimes. Now, an honour crime is what we call a culture-bound crime. So it's in certain cultures, if you bring shame on your culture or you bring shame on your family, it could lead to violence against you. But it's very, very underreported, because if you went missing or something bad happened to you, it would be your family who reported it to the police. But in this case, it's actually the family committing the crime against you. And the community stays quiet about it because you're bringing shame on that community in their eyes. So we'll explore who the victims are, we'll explore why crimes are underreported and why the police might not take certain crimes seriously. But then from there, we look at important campaigns for change. Now, this is when people have campaigned over the years to bring about a change in the law. So we've had a campaign called Claire's Law, and that's where Claire Wood was killed by a partner, and her family campaigned to change the law. So you can now go to the police and request information about the partner to see if they do have a history of domestic abuse. So what we do is we look at successful campaigns that families have done to try and bring about important changes in laws, but we have to look at all of the techniques you can use to try and bring about those campaigns for change. Then what you'll have in your Unit 1 is what we call a controlled assessment. This is an internal assessment. It sounds really daunting because it's actually 8 hours long, but it's spread over 2 days. So I promise it's actually not as bad as what it sounds. So it is spread over the 2 days, and the bonus of Unit 1 is you get to take your notes in there with you to give you a helping hand and give you a little bit of support. But within that controlled assessment, you will create your own campaign for change. So you'll pick a crime that's in the scenario. So it could be homelessness, it could be a hate crime, it could be domestic abuse. And you have to create a campaign to try and bring about successful change in that area. So it's got a really nice design element to it where you can create your own posters, your own merchandise, and have a little bit of fun with that. So that unit actually ties in really, really well with, as Karen mentioned, with psychology. It ties in really well with sociology. But also because of the design element, it ties in with projects that you might do in art, photography, music, tech, and so on. So it's actually quite a diverse subject that fits well with a lot of areas. Karen, do you want to talk through Unit 3?
Yeah. Just before I go to Unit 3 though, just explain that Unit 2 is actually the exam part of the course. So it's a 90-minute exam that you take generally in May time. Obviously things might change a little bit this year, we're not quite sure yet. But everything you learn from Unit 1 also is drawn in on Unit 2. It's very synoptic, as in there's lots of cross-learning. So for instance, the types of crime may come into Unit 2, and you may apply like certain theories to these type of crimes. You need to have lots of different knowledge. So it is quite engaging and rewarding, isn't it? Yeah. Students, like I said, are very much enjoying it. It's been a new learning experience for us this year. So with Unit 3, it's a little bit different again. It's crime scene to courtroom, so it's from the very moment you find the victim of the crime, you could say, what that crime scene actually says, because crime scenes actually tell a story about the person who was actually committed to crime and why that victim may have been chosen. So you can look at anything from different profiling techniques that they use, like the FBI use and so forth, and then it'll look at the different people, the key players in the criminal justice system who are working in it. How effective are they? People like the criminal prosecution service, probation officers, police officers. I mean, especially if you're interested in going to these lines of work, it's something that is very, very, good for you to do because it gives that underlying understanding of it. And then it takes right through to the point of verdict, so what they might experience in the courtroom, what if the verdict needs to be overturned, that new evidence comes. It's so involved in like the whole process, so it's from beginning to end, and that is also the coursework. Assessment, I suppose controlled assessment, I should say, really, part of it. And again, in second year, you'll have another 8-hour controlled assessment. Again, you can take your notes in, and it is over 2 days. So I won't say 8 hours, it's not all at one time. So that's something that I think is going to be very, very interesting during the second year because it's from start to beginning. So yeah, if you're interested in going into the police, probation service, working with the criminal prosecution, anything like that, it's going to be a really key area for you to study. Okay, do you want to go on Unit 4?
Yeah, so I'll finish with Unit 4 is called Crime to Punishment. So Karen's just talked you through the whole process from start to finish of the crime being committed until the end process where it's prosecuted in court. Now the punishment module is looking at the purpose of punishment and what the aims of punishment are, but the different types of punishment. So is it a prison sentence? Is it a fine? Is it a tag on the ankle, community service, and so on? But we draw on the criminological theories from Unit 2 and apply them to punishment. So we'll apply biological theories, psychological theories, and sociological theories to punishment as well, and really look at whether our prison system is working. It's actually at bursting point, so our prisons are very overcrowded, so we'll look at maybe if there's a better system out there. And again, your Unit 4 is your external exam. So it's more essay based, and you've got scenario based tasks. So you might have a crime that's written in the form of a scenario, and you have to apply your new knowledge to it. So just in summary then, your first year you'll have one controlled assessment which is done internally, and it's 8 hours long with your notes in front of you as your safety net, and you'll have one external exam, and again that's mirrored in your second year, one controlled assessment and one written exam. Okay, I think that's all from us. Does anyone have any questions or anything we haven't answered so far?
I've got one. Would you recommend doing psychology, sociology and criminology, or do you think it would be too much for all three of them?
I mean, we do at the moment have people doing all three. They see a lot of us, you know, which is nice in a way because you get to know them really well. We get to know you really well. There's crossover, so that can be seen two ways, as in you're going to repeat a level of learning, but on the other side, you're also reinforcing that learning.
Yeah.
And you have so much to learn at A level. The idea that you may actually like have a lot of crossover learning just reinforces and strengthens it for each subject. So you know, again, there's no one size fits all. I have students who have art, have to do biology, do different sciences, do psychology, do criminology. It's really up to you. English students enjoy it. I think criminology is just something so new and different that it brings a level of interest, you know, that you may not get from other subjects. So feel free to combine it with any. You could go down that route, but the question is if you would enjoy the crossover learning, really.
Yeah.
I mean, second year has a lot of law-based ideas in there, and it's predominantly law in second year, isn't it? So again, if you're in psychology, sociology in second year, there'll probably be a little less crossover there.
Well, thank you all very much, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Okay, thank you. Bye.